Welcome to the Daily Ascent. I'm Molly Carmel, and this is the podcast I always wish existed, a bite-sized, on-the-ground spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to help make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it is my birthday week, August 30th. Mark your calendar. And, instead of a big reflection on the year behind me, I'm not really a rear view mirror kind of gal. I do just want to take a minute to reflect on what I really want to carry into the year ahead. And for me, why I had to lose so much before I finally understood this. I don't know about you, but birthdays bring out the honesty in me. Well, Ascenders, we do love rigorous honesty. It's our love language here on Daily Ascent. So I want to give you an honest one today. And the truth of my life is that I lost a lot of my life. Not a chapter, not a rough patch. I lost years. I lost years to an eating disorder, to addiction, to really, really big, dark, deep depression. And there were long stretches where I was like technically here, walking around, going to college, having a little bit of a job, but I didn't feel in my own life at all. Like all of it felt like it was happening on the other side of a glass wall. And I was just kind of like behind it, trying to do something. It was awful times. And the thing about being behind the glass is that you really can't see the good. It's hard to, at least. And not because there isn't any. It's just because when you're trapped in eating disorders and addictions and depressions, you're really, really locked into what's wrong. At least this is my experience. Like I was locked into what's wrong, onto what I didn't have, onto what I hadn't fixed yet, onto like what was happening to me. I was the queen of the victim. And the good was like pretty invisible. Not to say I couldn't experience good. It was just very few and far between. I mean, honestly, I could be standing inside like a genuinely beautiful moment and my whole mind would be fixed on what was missing or what might happen. I mean, it was just a very dark time. And listen, I want to be a little bit careful here because this might sound cheesy and I absolutely don't mean it that way, but somewhere in there, and this is before I had any kind of spiritual life, it's like this is a very like beginning of my spiritual life. I remember it so well because I was on a bus to the Jersey Shore and I was reading this book. It was very famous at the time called The Secret. And I have to be honest, like I had no idea until I read that book that you could think differently. Like I just had no idea. I thought like, well, this is who I am. And this is the life I was given. And this is how I think. And so it is, right? And whatever you think about The Secret, it really was like a spiritual awakening of me of sorts because it put a crack in that glass wall. Like the idea that my thoughts weren't the weather, like that I had a say in what I thought, I just had never, I would guess I was almost too depressed to ever consider it. And, it cost me, right? It cost me. It was an expensive thing to really redo my life. It was. Because at the beginning, anytime we're making big, enormous changes, I mean, it's like a tear down of a house. So at the beginning, choosing a different thought, literally, I felt like Sisyphus. I felt like I was pushing a boulder up a hill. Enormous, exhausting. A lot of times the hill would roll down. I'd be back at square one. I'd be back at day one. But for years, I just kept doing it. And here's what nobody tells you. Eventually, I don't know if this is the right metaphor, but either the boulder gets smaller or you get stronger, right? It's like you roll that boulder up the hill enough times and eventually it's like a pebble to you. It's like no big deal. And then eventually you're just like hiking up the hill, no big deal. It's sort of the weight of the rock is what changed. And so I'm back all these years later. I mean, really having done some work. And, I'm making this episode because I'm not behind that glass anymore. I mean, obviously, I'm like have a podcast on spirituality today, which is wild to me. I'm always reminded like the problems that we have are the ones, we were praying for at some part of our lives. And I really love my life right now. I really do, right? I mean, of course, I have days and I have moments and I get help when I need it and I get little recurrences of depression or things like that. But, you know, I've learned something about being well that nobody warned me about, which is like the old thinking doesn't always leave. Like it does come back sometimes, right? When I stop paying attention. And I've seen it a little bit this summer. Like I catch myself scanning for what's missing, right? I stand in a good moment reaching for a better one. And so this year, my birthday intention, you are going to be my witness. I love a witness. You guys know that. I want to reclaim it. I want it on purpose. I want to just love my life. I want to love the beauty. I want to love the sadness. I want to love the fear. I want to love the possibility. I want to love the people. I want to love the projects. Like, I just want to be a lover of my life, right? Which is also to say, not to make this a spiritual bypassing episode, because you know how I feel about that. I want to be doing that on purpose, intentionally. I want to catch the drift and I want to come back to the deep appreciation for the life that I'm living right here. And so for my birthday, I brought my most favorite pocket sage in the entire world. I cannot believe it's like 215 episodes, and this is our first intro to Louise Hay, the grandmother. She is, without Louise Hay, I mean, I don't even know where we would be, to be honest. You know, she wrote this book, You Can Heal Your Life, in the 80s, and it just became one of the best-selling books. And I don't know. You should go on YouTube and listen to her because she's just like this cute little grandma, and I love her so much. And this quote that I'm going to read you the extended version of it. But man, if you are ever coached by me, I say this so much, it makes people want to punch me in the face in the best way possible. Here we go. It's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. I am not limited by any past thinking. I choose my thoughts with care. I constantly have new insights and new ways of looking at my world. I am willing to change and grow. Let me read that again for those of you in the back. It's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. I am not limited by any past thinking. I choose my thoughts with care. I constantly have new insights and new ways of looking at my world. I am willing to change and grow. How good is that? We're not limited by any past thinking, ascenders. And on this birthday with all those lost years behind me, that's really the whole thing. The past thinking, is part of what cost me the years. And I'm just like sort of committed to not letting it take any of the ones that I have left, to the best of my ability, imperfectly. We do everything imperfectly, ascenders. So my word of the day today, reclaim. Isn't that the best word? Because like to reclaim something is to take back what is yours, what was always yours, not to acquire it or earn it, just like repossess it, right? From whatever borrowed it without asking. And that word really matters because I think a lot of us believe that the work is to go get something that we've never had, right? To finally become grateful, finally become present. Like it's a trait other people got and like we didn't get it. And like that is so far from true. Appreciation for your own life is not a personality you're born with. Some of us are, but it's always in us. And it gets borrowed against. It gets borrowed against by fear or habits or the part of you that's very normal brain scanning for what's wrong. And reclaiming is much quieter than a big transformation, and it happens more than once, right? It's not a moment. You can reclaim your life on a Tuesday and then again on a Thursday when that drift comes back. And every time you catch yourself reaching for what's missing and turn on purpose towards what's here, that's reclaiming. And that's you taking your life back. So here's what I want us to be thinking about today. Interestingly enough, I have very few regrets. And I want to say that plainly because I'm not like up here wishing my life away or drowning in what's gone, by no means. But I did lose a lot to being sick. I did. And both of those things live in me at once. I don't regret the past, and I sometimes grieve the years that I couldn't feel. And that's just true, right? It did lead me into sitting here with you right now, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. And honestly, this is exactly where it would be so easy to bypass, right? To lay something spiritual over the loss and call it healed. Like it was all part of my journey, which I believe is true, but also I grieve. Everything happens for a reason, which I believe is true. And I'm still allowed to grieve, right? And move right along, which I believe is true, but I still get to grieve. But, you know, honesty is the only thing I've ever seen heal, and the hurt is real sometimes. And that's okay, right? We just got to love on that a little bit sometimes. If you don't run for hurt, watch what happens, right? I know what it cost. It cost me to lose years, but I also really know what a year is worth. And I really try not to be casual about a day. Sometimes I am, just being human, right? So the actual work now, it's different from the work of getting well. Being well isn't the finish line. It just isn't. Old thinking doesn't die when we recover. It goes quiet. And then sometimes it drifts in and you're not paying attention. And then sometimes it repossesses your life while you're not looking and you start scanning for what's missing again. And we're standing in beautiful moments, reaching past it. And that's like, interestingly, right? Like, that's not a big dramatic relapse. That's a slow leak of appreciation that you don't even notice until the tank is low. And so, the practice, at least for someone like me who is genuinely doing well, I'm not climbing out of anything anymore. It's just guarding. It's catching the drift early and reclaiming my life from it over and over on purpose. It's also noticing if I need a little extra help. I mean, I've picked up therapy a little bit this summer. I've went to some Reiki this summer and it's been wonderful. And so that's just my intention for this next year. Not to finally love my life, I already do, but to keep it, right? And to really notice the second I start pressing up against what I don't have, or when some of the fear comes back or some of the trauma comes back, and turn towards my heart and maybe even reach out my hand for help, right? I'm a product of recovery and so are you, right? And I hope we just reclaim the things that we are fighting for because we're worth fighting for, right? We're worth fighting for our thinking and we're worth turning these boulders up the hill into pebbles. I mean, being alive is a gift. It really is. And I just want to spend the years ahead of me trying to stay in that truth. So, the reflective question for today: where has your old thinking quietly drifted back in that it may be time for you to reclaim? And listen, Ascenders, if you are losing time to this relationship with food or your body or that loop of starting over and over, I want you to really hear me. I lived there for so long and you don't have to keep losing the time. That is literally why I started my Stop Starting Over system. It's not another diet or a set of rules. It's just a way back to yourself. That's what it is. So you can be here for life. And I'm obsessed with working with you. So please go to the show notes and sign up for a strategy call. And if you want to know more, you can go to mollycarmel.com. And I am right here with you, Ascenders, catching the drift and reclaiming the good and spending these days, knowing what they're worth because we rise together. Until next time.